Hey everybody, this is NJ, the host of the NJ podcast, and this is 5 Point Fridays. This is part of the Everyday series where we share inspiration and ideas in the form of 5 different points. This will be related to a topic that can add value to your day and to your life and hopefully make you a better person. And Fridays is a great time to reflect on such topics because you're winding down from the week or you're getting ready to carry on grinding on the weekend. Fridays is a fantastic time to think about these topics, and I want to talk today about overcoming the ABCDs of negativity. The ABCDs of negativity. It is impossible for us to go through this world without being negative and focusing on the things that are negative and things that are going wrong. When a pandemic hits, we gravitate to who is going to die, who is going to get sick, how the economy is going to crash, and how terrible our existence is. When you go into a business, sometimes you can look at everything that can go wrong and what the negatives of the situation that is that you're facing. Or even sometimes you can be at a job or in a relationship and things will happen, and because we are human beings, we tend to focus on what's negative far more than what is positive. And it is impossible to go through life without having negative things happen to you. And when you are living an incongruent life, that means you are living a life that is not according to your highest values, not according to your highest ideals, but you rather are subordinating and taking on an identity and value sets from other people. It can be an authority figure, it can be a parent, it can be a social cause or a social construct, or it can even be a religious or a spiritual figure. And oftentimes, more often than not, we subordinate what we truly want and who we truly are, and we take on ideals that are not our own. And you'll find yourself when you're doing a task or in a certain situation where you find yourself expressing 5 different forms of negativity. And I'll just quickly go through these and just talk about how we can get away from them. Here's the situation. You are going to a job that you studied 4 or 5 years to do, and you've been working on it 5 years, and then you realize that it's not up to your highest ideals, and then you start filtering your reality according to what is negative. This happens to a lot of people. They go to a university or an educational institution because somebody else wanted them to. They study a course that is not fulfilling to them, but rather is meeting the ideals of some other person. They go into a profession that is not what they've always wanted, and because they are trying to make somebody happy other than themselves, and then because truth crushed earth will rise again and the truth will eventually show itself, and you cannot live a life for far too long, it will end up showing itself in that situation. And then you'll start going through these ABCDs of negativity. The first one you'll find yourself is going through is anger and aggression. You'll find yourself angry and snapping at everybody and just really irate at everything because you're in a situation that you not necessarily want, and you start being aggressive and a very harsh person to be with. Then the second point is you may go through periods of blame and betrayal. You'll start blaming every single force out there, everybody else except for yourself, for the situation in which you find yourself in. And then you feel betrayed by the situation you find yourself in. You feel betrayed by other people, you feel betrayed by a system, and you feel betrayed that you are in the situation that you are in. And then this next point is criticism and challenge. Now you start being overly critical and you start being overly criticized, and then you find yourself in situations where you are challenged above what you think that you can handle. Then you move to despair and depression. This is where you've tried everything outside of what works, and now you say that you need a break and you cannot carry on and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And where we want to get to is the 5th point is faith and forgiveness. And in order for you to, and faith and forgiveness means you have a hope that the situation will change and you'll become better. And forgiveness means that you're letting go of any offenses that you've accumulated from other people, and more importantly, yourself. So how is it that we get into the ABCDs of negativity, and how do we get out? We get into ABCDs of negativity: anger and aggression, blame and betrayal, criticism and challenge, despair and depression, and get to faith and forgiveness because of values and infatuation. Every person around the world has a set of values, the things that are most important to them and the things that are least important to them. The things that are important to them, they are focused, disciplined, reliable, and intrinsically motivated to go out and do them. And the things that are lowest on your value sets, you hesitate, frustrate, and procrastinate to get them done. If your highest value is music, arts, and entertainment, then that's what you want to be doing every day, all day. And if someone says you need to go become a chemist or a pharmacist, then you're going to be very hateful and vengeful, and you're going to procrastinate on them. And you cannot get a person to act contrary to what their values will dictate. All right, you cannot get a person to act contrary to what their values will dictate. And anytime you are being inauthentic and incongruent with what your highest values are, you start moving towards the ABCDs of negativity. You can also get to the ABCDs of negativity by not seeing both sides and not understanding the law of polarity. The law of polarity says for every good situation, there's an equally bad situation, and you are not in a place of grace. Here is what love really is. Love is the synthesis and synchronicity of two complementary opposites. That means that the good and the bad are existing in the same place and at the same time. And when we are not centered enough to realize that everybody has a positive and negative traits, and we need to accept them with both the positive and negative traits, we end up either being infatuated or being resentful. If somebody comes to you, and if you're honest, really honest with yourself, and they say to you, whatever your name is, it can be John, Tabo, Sipo, Ronaldi, or whatever your name is out there, and they say to you, for argument's sake, let's say John, easy name to use. Let's say, John, you are always cool, you are always kind, you are always nice, you are always industrious, you are always focused, you're always reliable, and you're always a great person. If someone says that to you, you are immediately going to know that that's a lie. And if somebody comes to you and says, John, whatever your name is, you're always mean, you are always unkind, you are always brash, you are always resentful, you're always hateful, you are always lazy, and you're always a bad person, you are also going to call BS on that, because that's not true. Now, if somebody who's really authentic comes to you and says, John, sometimes you're mean, sometimes you're nice, sometimes you're kind, sometimes you're unkind, sometimes you're focused, sometimes you're not reliable, sometimes you are truthful, sometimes you're not truthful. If somebody says that to you, more likely than not, you're going to be, yes, 100%. That is the truth. That is 100%, because there are situations where if someone is alignment with your highest values and they're speaking to you in terms of your values, of whether it's art and entertainment, whatever your highest value is, then you can be nice, then you can be reliable, then you can be focused. And there are times when a person is not working according to your highest values and they're challenging your values. That's when you can be mean, that you can be resentful, and you can be a bad person. Now, for someone to say you're always good and you're always bad is disingenuous. There are instances where you can be good and can be bad at exactly the same time and exactly the same moment. And when someone enters into a relationship and they're saying everything's always great, everything's always fine, or they have a fantasy or an expectation that everything is going to be great, everything's going to be fine all of the time, they are setting themselves up for what? They're setting themselves up for disaster. And if someone goes into a relationship thinking it's always going to be bad, I'm always going to be uncomfortable, I'm always going to be hateful, you are also setting yourself up for disaster. But if a person goes in and says there are going to be ups and there are going to be downs, there are going to be challenges and there are going to be great moments and there are going to be bad moments, then you are far more centered. then you don't have the infatuation. Infatuation, you're always glorifying the positive traits. You can be infatuated with the situation, infatuated with the job, infatuated with your life, and infatuated with what things could be. For example, you can be infatuated with a hero and you will only see the positive things about them. And in that case, you minimize yourself and you refuse to see the bad side of them. And the other side is you can also be resentful to another person who you see lesser than. You can be resentful to another person. You can be resentful to a job. You can be resentful to a relationship situation. And infatuation and resentment comes from you not being centered and not understanding that the good and the bad coexist in exactly the same place and exactly the same quantity, and for you to accept the thing as it is. Here's the thing about love that will get you out of the ABCDs of negativity. We've said that love is the synthesis and synchronicity of two complementary opposites. True. Here's the thing about another person, another job, another industry, is that when you love someone or something for who or what it is, they turn into the thing that you love. Let's say with the person, if you love a person for who they are, their good and their bad traits at exactly the same time, you love them for who they are, they turn into who you love. Same thing with a job. A lot of people are on jobs that they say that they're resentful for, they're infatuated for. But if you really love the job for truly what it is, it turns into the job that you love. And you're not going to find yourself in a place where you're infatuated with the fantasy, and when things don't match up to the fantasy, you go through the ABCDs of negativity: anger and aggression, blame and betrayal, criticism and challenge, despair and depression, then getting to faith and forgiveness, because you are being real, you're being authentic, and you're not really trying to justify why things are the way they are. You call things exactly what it is. You call the job challenging and great. You call the job you call the person mean and sometimes nice. Call it a spade, call it for what it is, because if you cannot call something for what it is, you cannot truly love it for what it is. If you're always justifying or hiding something, then you cannot really get to the root of it and love it for what the situation is, and you'll always be in a fantasy and not being real and not being grounded. And people find themselves in these ABCDs of negativity primarily because they are incongruent with their values. They have an unrealistic expectation of what should and shouldn't be. They are infatuated and they're resentful and they're not being real, and they are not truly loving a person or place or a situation. Loving a person or place or situation is understanding that there are good and there's a bad operating at the same time and at the same place and the same quantity. And if you love a person for who they are, they turn to who you love. And if you love a thing for what it is, really is, then it turns into the thing that you love. And that is how we can overcome the ABCDs of negativity, by being real with our values, understanding what true love is, and not trying to buy into fantasies and infatuations and resentful, and being centered and real, and realizing that love is the synthesis and synchronicity of complementary opposites. And if you love a person for who they are, they turn into who you love. And if you love a thing for what it is, it turns into the thing that you love. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of 5 Point Fridays, where we talked about overcoming the ABCDs of negativity. 1, anger and aggression. 2, blame and betrayal. 3, criticism and challenge. 4, despair and depression. 5, faith and forgiveness. If you like this episode, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in books and merchandise, please head over to the website. Have a fantastic Friday. If you're relaxing or starting to work again, understand that to get over the ABCDs of negativity, you need to be real, get clear on your values. Don't force your values on another person. Don't let other people force their values upon you. And also be sure to love a thing for what it is, and so it turns into the thing that you love. And if you love a person for who they are, they turn into who you love. And regardless of what you have or haven't done, you are still worthy of love. And love is the synthesis and synchronicity of complementary opposites. And I will see you on the next episode.